This is a continuation of our talk that we began the other day regarding the art of war and peace. Um, just like we said before, that if you like the video, you like what we're doing, and you would like to become a follower, that it would be really good to, give us a thumbs up on this. And also hit the subscription, because, all this is dealing with algorithms. And the more people that they come in and they look at what we're doing, what happens is that we start, progressing in terms of the algorithms, and we were able to meet more people. In order to be able to enter into Buddhism in terms of how we are as a university, is to understand in all in the method in which that the discourses or the understandings come. What this is trying to do here is to develop a foundation of that people start to think in terms of reason. Things have to make sense, right? It has to make sense before we should accept it. This also falls within the realm of what I call scientific or Buddhist physics. That if you don't understand the foundation of reason and whatnot, it's impossible to understand the complexities of the text. So this is a forerunner to the actual text that we do go in a more difficult text which entail an understanding or a discourse in what real reason is. But we're going to start with the basis of saying that we're going to try to make things in such a way that they start to make sense. I think the foundation of reasoning comes from the basic foundation of, does it make sense, right? And if we can evaluate for ourselves that what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, then we have the capability of being able to understand the discourse that we're going in. So what we're doing is introducing the forerunner to really going into the more difficult aspects of Buddhism. And this particular translate, The Art of War and Peace, this is Leon Giles. I think he's the one who actually did the actual translation. I've heard other translations, they pretty much say that they follow the same order. So I thought, well, it's fine, to use him as a foundation. I don't know very much about it, but I compared that to other translations and other discourses that have been on this particular subject. So I think that it's good enough in order to use as a basis of our discourse. So I always think in terms of, because also in the book they give external examples of how we should face things internally, right? And the art of war and peace is very much within the realm of balancing what is happening in the physical world and the decisions that we make in relationship to that in our internal world, right? So this is very good. This is also a basis, although this is not a Buddhist concept, it is something that you can incorporate into our into Buddhist practice. It says here, water always remains, determines the path based on the force of gravity. So things that are affecting us are affecting in relationship to many different conditions that we have, external conditions, internal conditions. And a lot of times you see in Eastern thought or discussion, they're always talking about how water flows, because when water flows in accordance to the conditions that it's in, what happens is that it's what it molds or shapes itself to the problems that are ahead and then surpasses them, right? So water always determines its path based on the force of gravity. Force of gravity is the reality, right, in which we and we have to function. So as water, it has to maintain, or it has to proceed in accordance to other factors. It's the same thing with us. As I said before, the art of war and peace is the understanding that when you get up in the morning, there's always going to be a problem. And every problem that you have is determined that we have to come to a solution. Life is not about how much fun we have. Life is about the decisions that we make, right? So that we're able to achieve. One of the reasons we talk about the water is because of the reason that when water flows, it's determined that from a particular source is heading in a particular direction or a destination. So this tells us that when we're actually looking at, looking at ourselves or trying to make our world or making our lives successful, we should have a goal. We should have something that is always like gravity, that something is pulling in that particular direction. And in doing so, what happens is that we understand what we should do, what we shouldn't do, where we should go, where we should not go. We exploit that was easy for us, and we avoid what is difficult or overcoming. One of the examples they give in the book is that water never flows upwards. It always flows in accordance to what it's capable of gravitating to, right? That doesn't mean that there are no obstacles. Of course there are obstacles. Like I said, every single day you get up, there's always going to be some kind of obstacle that you have to contend with, right? What makes an inferior person and a superior person is the person who has the capability to understand these obstacles and come to a logical, right, something that makes sense, conclusion of what to do at this particular time, right? It's not that one system is going to be able to overcome every instance. That's not how it is. It's about at this particular time, right? But at this particular time, are your actions enough or capable of overcoming the problem? It's not the problem that's going to be tomorrow because conditions change. So we're talking about what's happening to us. And it's not the same thing as living here in the here and now. Here and now, I don't know what that means. What we're talking about is the capability in relationship to what we want to achieve, to apply the necessary tools in order to achieve that result. So this has nothing to do, with the here and now. This is talking about goal-oriented thinking, goal-oriented practices. So it says, similarly, when following our path to the future, see, this is what it's always looking forward, continuing our path toward the future, we must use our goals as gravity. So these are the directions that if you want to be a good practitioner, then you understand what is necessary. What is the goal? Well, I want to become Buddha. Well, the goal is the Buddhist, but what do I have to do in order to achieve that? Well, in accordance, the Buddha said, practice that, avoid that of the 10 non-virtues, and practice that which is in conformity to the 10 virtuous actions. So we have a guideline, which I usually call a template, in which we start to mold ourselves in the direction that we are trying to achieve, right? And this is the direction that we're trying to achieve deals with what we do now, because right now is the cause of what's going to happen in the future. So if you create the perfect causes, you'll attain the perfect result. In doing so, success will always be met. Obstacles will be surpassed. Obstacles don't mean, an obstacle doesn't mean that you've come to the end of your capabilities. It just means at that particular time you've met something that you have to consider, because you're not going to stay in the same place, right? So I want to get down to this formula, and we can we can make this short. We're trying to make it short in bits. That's why it takes a long time to get through this, because a lot of it is not only just, it's not reading the whole thing, it's actually trying to understand to the point that it becomes a personal experience, right? In this text, we're not talking about doing things because I said so, right? We're doing things because of the reason that we understand that we have the capability in order to overcome whatever it might be, right? The definition of something that's a reality is that which is known. So everything that exists is knowable. So when obstacles they confront us, when obstacles confront us, then we have the capability of making good, decisive decisions regarding the direction that we're going to take it, right? This, I think it falls within the realm of what they call the Powell, the Powell, which is the what do you call it? A person who's brave, right? A brave person takes upon the responsibility necessary in order to be able to get beyond that. That's a brave person. Bravery is not the person who takes a gun and fires at somebody and kills them. That's just a reactionary. That's something that's led, in terms of poisons and misunderstandings and misinterpretations, But the brave person is the one who understands it in relationship to their scientific values and are able to overcome what it is based upon scientific values. What do I mean by scientific values? I mean values that you can prove are true over and over and over again. If you can reproduce it here and you try to reproduce it again, you'll still get the outcome that's similar because the actions are similar. So the idea of overcoming and investigation means that the capability of being able to reproduce an outcome, not necessarily external, although Western science is dealing with external examination, but in this case internally, to the decisions that I make, are they well enough and strong enough in order for us to be able to come to a conclusion that will overcome the problems that harm us right now or that block us right now, right? So the reality is that those who do not set goals are always confronted with reoccurring problems. If you don't set a goal, then you have no capability of understanding what you should or what you should not do, So those who have objectives always find the proper solutions. So this is the Art of War and Peace is about developing a solution for whatever problems that might confront us.